What if I told you there was one thing you could be taking that would make you stronger, faster, improve your energy, help with symptoms of depression, increase your cognitive function, and protect your brain in the future? You would take it, right? Well, at least I hope you would, because it already exists and it is the most studied supplement to date. It's creatine. You already know the name of it. You actually already produce it in your own body. And it's usually a big, scary gym bro that's yelling at you to snort it up the nose. And honestly, for good reason. But I'm not going to tell you to do that because I know you have questions.
Is it going to make me bloat? Is it going to upset my stomach? Am I going to gain weight? Is my hair going to fall out?
How much do I even take?
I'm going to answer all of your questions in just a second. But I first want to say, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you are new here. My name is Dr. Livianieves. I'm a licensed physical therapist and a longtime personal trainer who's trying to save you a copay by educating you about your own body. And today we are talking all things creatine. If you enjoy my videos, be sure to go check out my short form content pages, my Instagram and my TikTok. We have a good time over there. I post more frequently. I'll have those linked down below if you want to go check them out. First, let's talk about what it is. That way you can put your mom at ease. Send her this video. That way she knows that you're not getting illicit substances from a street pharmacy, okay? Like I said, you already actually produce creatine in your liver and in your brain, and it's stored in the body as phosphocreatine. It's also commonly found in meats like red meat, especially fish and poultry. You might be asking, Liv, if I already produce it, why do I need to take it? And the answer is, just like a lot of other vitamins and minerals, you use it on a daily basis. It's always good to just replenish the micronutrients and the vitamins and minerals that you're using. It helps us produce more adenosine triphosphate, which is the long word for ATP, which if you didn't know is your body's energy source. And whether you're working out on the daily or honestly just trying to formulate a thought, every time you think, you are using ATP. And what creatine does is it acts like a battery, because when your ATP is used up, it becomes ADP, diphosphate. The creatine comes in as phosphocreatine and it helps add another phosphate, giving you that ATP again, the triphosphate, thus more energy. Which is why research shows this supplement is fantastic for high intensity workouts, but it hasn't really shown any significant difference in things like endurance sports, like long distance running. But I want to get this out of the way now. Creatine on its own does not help you build muscle mass. It doesn't just make you stronger. It has to be paired with a regular resistance training routine. Let's talk about dosage. How much of this are you supposed to take a day? And honestly, it depends on what your desired outcome is. The standard dosage and what you'll see on the back of the nutrition label is 3 to 5 grams, and that's perfect for your muscles. Remember, like I said, this is great for your brain, and the dosage for that is actually double to triple. It's about 10 to 20 grams a day. Why? Well, for starters, your brain tissue and your muscle tissue, two different types of tissue, but your brain actually has a super secret weapon, super secret agency, I should say, called the BBB. Okay, doesn't that sound like a federal agency? It's your blood-brain barrier, and it is a physical barrier that prevents substances from getting into your brain. The 3 to 5 grams is not enough to cross that barrier, so doubling or tripling the dose helps ensure that you're getting adequate flooding, and it increases the effectiveness of the creatine in your brain. If you've done any previous research, reading, watched a video on creatine, you may have heard something called a loading phase. A lot of people in the gym world do this. Well, they'll take about 20 to 30 grams of creatine for 5 to 7 days. This just helps speed up that loading saturation process, but taking 5 grams a day for an extended period of time, and honestly the rest of your life, you'll be saturated just fine, especially if you're worried about side effects. But because I want those brain boosting cognitive function effects, I do take 10 grams of creatine per day, sometimes more if I'm in a period of increased stress. It has been shown in the research that it's really effective to be taken during times of increased stress, emotional stress, cognitive stress, increased cognitive load like studying, depression. That is why I'm taking a higher dose as someone that struggles with depression and mental health. You best believe I'm gonna do what I can. So now I know a lot of women in particular are even scared to take the 5 grams of recommended creatine, and I'm talking about double and triple the dose because of the perceived side effects. Why would you want to take more? And I just wanna put your minds at ease. Creatine will not make you gain fat. It will not increase your body fat percentage. Truly, it might make you a little bit more bloated while you're taking it for the first few times, because creatine is osmotic, which means that it pulls water to wherever it occupies. But that's what you want. That means that it is working. But it does not pull water into your fat cells. It does not increase your fat cells. That is a myth. A lot of people are also concerned about kidney function, but there is no evidence to suggest that in healthy individuals and even in some compromised individuals with decreased kidney function, that creatine has any negative effect on the kidneys. If that is something that you are concerned about, I would absolutely talk to your PCP about that. I also saw some concern and chatter about whether or not my little creatine might increase your hair fallout, because there was one study done in 2009 on a group of rugby players that claimed that it increased hair fallout by increasing DHT, which you didn't know is actually one of the causes for androgenic alopecia. It attaches to the hair follicle, it causes hair shedding and hair fallout by stunting the growth of the hair follicle. However, justice for creatine, because there was another study done correctly, published last year in 2025 that examined two groups of people, a control and an experimental group, both taking creatine specifically for hair loss, and they found no correlation or no difference between the groups. You're fine. Second most common concern that I hear behind weight gain is about creatine upsetting the stomach, which is true if you chug it all at once and take it with no food, which is very similar to how you want to avoid taking other supplements as well. Like I said before, creatine is osmotic. It pulls water, right? So if I take it on an empty stomach, the second it hits my intestines, it's gonna flood my intestines with water, and yeah, I'm gonna be hitting the bathroom. The best way that I've found to taking creatine, especially as someone who's now doubled their dose, gone from 5 to 10 grams, is breaking up the amount of creatine that I take in the day, so breaking up the dose, but I also dilute it with a big thing of water. One, because it's gonna encourage you to drink more water just in general, but two, like I said, it helps dilute the creatine powder, that's what I take, to slowly introduce it into the system. I also never take it on an empty stomach. It is always recommended that you take creatine, like other supplements, with some sort of food, particularly a protein and a carb. So I take my first 5 grams of creatine in the morning with a big thing of water and some breakfast, and then I take my second 5 grams of creatine at night before bed with dinner. Here's something you might not know. I always want to spit a little fun fact for you. Taking creatine with caffeine might actually inhibit the effectiveness of creatine, because caffeine has opposing effects to creatine. So it could be wasteful to mix them together to a certain extent. And I say this because I know a lot of energy drinks put creatine in it as a selling point, but you need to be careful, because creatine, after about 250 milligrams of caffeine, becomes a little bit less effective. It's just something to be aware of, but don't worry, baby, you can still have your coffee. I would not steer you wrong. So now you must be convinced that you're gonna take creatine, right? So now you're like, what creatine do I buy? You need to make sure that it is creatine monohydrate. It is the simplest and honestly the cheapest form of creatine. In literally whatever form works for you. I prefer a powder because I like to mix it with things, but you can also take them as gummies as well. And if you follow me, you know that I don't really promote anything, but I most especially do not promote supplements and supplement brands because they're not regulated. And I am extremely skeptical, and I have turned down many brands because of this. So truthfully, the only brand that I recommend, because I've used it for years, this is not sponsored, it's just because I've done my research on it, it is third-party tested and NSAFE certified for sport, is Thorne. We've come to the end, my gorgeous, gorgeous girls. What do you think? Do you feel a little bit more informed about creatine and including it in your routine? Because I highly recommend it. My own personal experience aside, just the research that's been out about it but is now coming out about it, aside from just gym and weightlifting, the effects on the brain and potential anti-inflammatory effects. I love creatine. I will link this one that I use specifically down in the description box below, along with my other social medias if you want to go follow me on there. We have a good time. Please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and a subscribe if you want to be more educated, okay? I always educate my girls on this channel, and I would love for you to join the cult, okay? I love you guys, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.